You know, there was a new report that came out that said Gen Z doesn't like sex and nudity and romance in their movies. I mean, what are they counting on to pay attention to the movie? Story? Come on. What is going on, everyone? It is Wednesday night. It is time for the tagline. We are the Cinefanatics. My name's Robert Adams.
And I'm your unchanged white guy, Dwayne Johnson wax figure statue, Chris Adams.
Just with maybe this, the one side of your face seems to be a nice tan. So you're in the process of transitioning to a proper Dwayne Johnson.
Yeah, no, I think what they're going to do to update me even further is just make me look more like Steve-O than Dwayne Johnson.
That's great. That wax statue is still hideous looking. I don't care if they fix the pigmentation of the
skin. They didn't fix anything. All they did was, like I said, make him look a little bit more like Steve-O than Dwayne. He looks less like The Rock now.
They put him under like a restaurant heat lamp, not to tan him, but just it's a different shade of lighting. I mean, theoretically,
exactly the same.
He does.
Except that he doesn't look like Dwayne Johnson anymore.
Yeah, it really doesn't look like they changed anything. But like here, for example, I could do that right now. Look at that tan. Just got me a nice tan right there.
You look like you're from Samoa.
I look more like Dwayne Johnson than that wax figure of Dwayne Johnson.
Can you do a haka for me real quick?
A what?
A haka.
No, I won't. I'm still trying to learn how to do the Wakanda Forever chant in the privacy of my own home where no one else can see or hear me do it. And I'll probably never publicly release that, even though I think I actually have already done that on camera before.
Someone has to be at the $1 billion tier on our Patreon so that we can guarantee that if for some reason we get canceled off the internet, we can continue living our lives fine.
Yeah, I'm very leery about that. I'm still trying to figure out the lyrics to the beginning of Circle of Life without saying just some random combination of letter syllables.
Oh, you can just Google search that.
Yeah, but you can't. I can't read it, though.
You can barely read English. Anyway, what are we doing?
We are going to talk about some movies. And as we get stuff started, y'all know how this is, YouTube things, streamlabs.com/cinefanatics. If you have any questions, comments, issues, complaints, or as we've been stressing lately, if you would like to see more of our lights on and us still being able to do this show and not trying to talk about movies out of a cardboard box. I know I'm trying to make this sound funny, but this is actually a very urgent plea. If anyone would like to help support us, it would be great right now. We would very much appreciate it. So streamlabs.com/cinefanatics. There is also patreon.com/cinefanatics. If you feel we are worthy of your support and you have the means, please don't put yourself in a cardboard box also. But if you have the means, please hop on the tier that's good for you. There's only two tiers, $1 tier, $5 tier. $1 gets you access to the Discord. $5 gets you access to all the other stuff we're doing right now. For example, tonight after Tagline, we will be doing our movie trivia hangout. Apparently, we're going to be doing some horror movie trivia. So if you like horror movies, you want to test your knowledge, if you think you can beat my brother, you probably can. Please come join us. Pay $5, hop on that Patreon, and feel like you beat someone and won something.
You know, it's not going to be a point of huge pride for you.
Because I'm still playing too. But.
You know, at the very least, you can feel like you had a win this week if you haven't found one anywhere else.
Yeah. Yeah, so hop on that $5 tier. Come join us. That is going to be at roughly 8 Pacific, 11 Eastern. Give enough time for the Tagline to end and us to bathroom and food and whatnot, possibly.
Snake.
Yeah. What are y'all for? So we'll take a break real quick. Let's talk about William Harold in the chat. He's always making references that's either one of us understands. Either they're all references something I'm going to get, primarily probably Rocky Horror,
Never
or
both.
then it's references that you get, and I'm like, oh, okay, I don't.
Always one, never two. There are.
But shout out to William Harold. He's really good with the fun movie references. So Streamlabs link should be in the description. No, it is not. I could have sworn I keep putting it there, and I don't. Give me just a second. Let me see if I can get.
Well, no wonder we haven't gotten any donations.
There's no freaking
link
for
to get there to give the donations.
I could have sworn I put it down here. I guess it was before we didn't have a link for the Patreon, so I added that and didn't think of Streamlabs. Stream must be scheduled. Please edit the start time. Well, okay. Apparently, it won't let me do that.
Just put it in the chat.
So let's go.
HTTPS.
Yeah.
www.streamlabs.com/cinefanatics.
Do you have to put the HTTPS if you're putting it in the chat? Or can I just put streamlabs.com/cinefanatics?
I think I'm thinking Discord. Usually I have to put the is not clickable. Is it?
Is it?
Nope, not clickable.
No. Okay.
So at least I think you at least have to do like the www or whatever, or maybe you do have to do the HTTPS, whatever.
Well, you know what? Let's just solve that and just go. Oh, Tim, I am so jealous of that.
We've only been doing this for how many years now?
Yeah. There we go. That should have worked.
Yep. So yes, you do have to put the https://www.streamlabs.com/cinefanatics.
I don't see it popping up on the.
It's there.
Okay. Cool. All right. Now that that's handled, yeah. So, what is it? That Mondo Monday. That's at the. Is that the New Beverly that keeps happening at, or is it the Loft?
Probably the Loft.
Well, one of them, yeah. It's no. Okay, so I'm thinking the L.A. It's the theater that everyone that's in like the Tucson area goes to. Is that the Loft? Yeah,
the Loft is Arizona.
And what's weird is we're here in Austin, Texas, the birthplace of the Alamo Drafthouse, and I'm hearing about all the movies that the Loft is playing for these like Mondo Mondays or like the movie marathons. I guess they do there also.
We know we get Mondo Monday.
We should be able to do that here. The Alamo Drafthouse should be doing the same exact thing. It does play like older movies every once in a while, but it doesn't have like, or at least the theater over here by where we live does not have like a recurring every Monday night.
It would be the one on Lamar that does it, if anything.
Yeah. Which is where I just spent a week at Fantastic Fest. So, oh, did you see? I don't know if anyone saw the tweet I put up earlier, and this was funny. Looking at the weather here in Austin, Texas, coming up for this next week at Fantastic Fest, it was almost like still like 100 degrees outside.
Mm-hmm.
So that whole thing that I've talked about, like in between movies, we would hang out outside the front of the theater, talking and stuff. We're all sitting there like sweating like crazy. It was almost 100 degrees. Now we've got a few more days left in October, and just before the month ends, we're getting an Arctic cold front. It's going to drop down to like a high of 46.
Yippee!
I was like, wow.
We're dropping nearly 50 degrees in a month.
So anyone who's in Austin, Texas, that's susceptible to getting sick with extreme temperature changes, good luck.
Get out.
Yeah. Just put yourself in a walk-in freezer for a little while just to start getting used to it.
Get acclimated.
Yeah. Anyways, yeah, movie trivia tonight. If you know horror movie trivia, hop on that $5 tier on Patreon. The link is in the description of this video. That one is down there. Hop on there, hop on the $5 tier, and come join us on our Discord, the voice chat. So that should be fun. Upcoming shows, real quick. Five Nights at Freddy's comes out tomorrow. I will be watching that, and I will kick out a review. And then probably this weekend, I think I'm thinking of like doing a ranking, like a shorts ranking. So it'll be YouTube Shorts. It'll probably be Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. We are also on TikTok at the Cinefanatics. I will do a ranking of the three. As far as I know, there's only three major ones. 3 animatronic killer movies. So Five Nights at Freddy's, the Banana Split movie, and Willy's Wonderland. I'll do a ranking of that. All right, so we did get a Streamlabs from Brennen. Thank you, sir. You guys are great. I'm so grateful for your friendship. You too, Brennen. We very much appreciate being friends with you and all the stuff that we've gotten to do with you and join you with. Your Star Wars podcast is a lot of fun. We don't have too many people that want to sit down and talk Star Wars with us, and I think that's the thing is both of us have a lot of like movie knowledge and angles to some of these movies that we would love to just sit here and fanboy out, and we just don't have shows on our channel right now that are focused on doing that. I know we like started that podcast at the beginning of this year, and that will be coming back because that's actually what that is for, is to fanboy and nerd out talking about movies and stuff. I think both of us very much enjoy doing that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the podcast is a lot of fun to produce. It's just a matter of being able to have enough mental freedom to be able to handle the goings on of the podcast, which mental freedom comes with a little bit more financial freedom. So there you go.
So streamlabs.com/cinefanatics or patreon.com/cinefanatics. I might start doing that a little more often than I typically do, if I remember. Just because it's kind of important, guys. Anyways,
as we reach that 2,000 sub mark, we're going to be amping up more and more towards getting this channel rolling consistently and producing content on it. So in order to do that, you do have to keep the lights on. You do have to financially justify doing it. So we are going to be pushing those Streamlabs and Patreon links more and more.
Yeah. Anyways, and then the other thing, Lego, just in time here. Willy Wonderland wins. No need. Yeah, but that wins because it's got Nicolas Cage in it. I know what you're thinking, and judging by the pillow back here, I might be biased on it as well. I don't know. It depends on how good Five Nights at Freddy's is. We'll see. But yeah, I should have that out probably on Saturday, maybe. I might do it before Saturday. I might do it Friday. I don't know. Depends on how much time I have.
You should do it on Friday. 5 Nights at Fridays.
That would work. Yeah. Anyways, so that is coming up. And then the other one coming up this coming Friday, what is coming out on Friday for certain, is the marquee. That is going to be us tier ranking horror villains. Obviously, my brother's not going to be on there, but I will be joined by special guest Lego. Hey, so yeah,
I know her.
This is going to be a lot of fun. A lot of horror villains. If you are a part of our Patreon right now, even at the $1 tier, you can go to our Discord, and under the marquee channel, you can see the full list of the movie horror villains that we're tier ranking. I think there's like 20, 22, 23 of them on there.
It's a lot of horror movie villains.
She said no, it wins because of the awesome song. Okay. And yes, that will be Lego joining me on that. So, and then possibly, I'm not going to say 100% because I don't know if it's actually confirmed yet, but maybe we might still have a poll running for the audience.
If we do, it won't be me running it.
Okay.
I will not be around for that.
Okay.
So.
Anyway, so yes, that is coming up. So that is the marquee. That is coming up this Friday, the 27th at 7 Pacific, 10 Eastern, 9 Central. So anyways, that should be a lot of fun. Nice list of horror movie villains there.
Oh, yeah.
Anyways, let's get into what have you watched over this past week?
Nada.
Cool. Let's get into what has Robert watched over this past week. Typically I'll rewatch a lot of movies. I have once again over this past week managed to play both Avengers Infinity War and Endgame again, but it was while I was sitting here and it was playing in the background. This was not a sit down and actually watch it. It was just background noise while I was working on other things. But once again, I think it's funny that I just keep replaying those two.
Yeah.
Chris, I could have sworn you actually did see a new movie within this past week.
I did.
Uh-huh. Would you like to talk about that movie?
Yeah. So here's the thing. We did a watch along last week for our patronites. Is that what they call them? Patreons?
Patronuses?
The patronuses. Can we call patrons that? You're all our patronuses.
I would worry that maybe we could get like a cease and desist from J.K. Rowling, but at this point, I really don't fucking care what J.K. Rowling thinks about anything.
It'd probably be more from WB, if anything. Anyway,
and
I don't really care what they think either until they pay their actors correctly. Anyway,
and make good DC movies.
Oh, that's probably coming. Anyway, we did a watch along this last week. You can join the Patreon and hang out with us for our watch alongs. The one this last week was the good old classic Psycho, which was my first time watching Psycho. So those of you guys who weren't there hanging out with us watching Psycho with me for the first time missed my first time reaction to seeing such a classic horror thriller movie. Really good movie. Really good.
That's right. Y'all got to miss out on seeing my brother's reaction to the first time we saw a toilet flush in a movie.
And man, let me tell you, it was such a big reaction.
Yeah.
Such a big reaction.
You're like, oh, the water's going down the hole. There's a Tiny Toons reference right there.
It's crazy. Good movie. It's one of those movies where I kind of do wish, despite the fact that it's been out forever, I kind of do wish that I didn't know the spoilers of, because there's a couple twists in that movie.
Mm-hmm.
And pretty much everybody knows it. You know, obviously your main character, you're not following for the whole movie because she's not actually the main character. Famous scene. We all know why we don't follow her for half of the movie. The other twist being, of course, is it Norman's mom? Is it Norman's mom?
Yeah.
Kind of a situation. So, really, it was a really good, really well-made movie. I love when people take, what you would think a movie should do, and they kind of spin it on its head and actually, stick the landing in terms of being able to tell a story in a completely different way. Being, of course, we're following Marianne for the whole beginning of the movie, and then halfway through the movie, we're not following her anymore. That's usually
Marianne. Yeah.
Yeah.
Marianne. Yeah.
Same name. Good Lord. It's you don't usually see that kind of a situation in a movie. Usually, you're following your main character throughout the whole movie, basically. So, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. I very much enjoy it. That's the kind of horror movie that I can get behind because it's not graphic at all.
It's not graphic. It's more of a mystery, thriller, suspense.
Yeah.
Than it is actual horror.
Yeah. If you guys want to check out any of us watching movies for the first time, we may have those moments on our watch-alongs, our monthly watch-alongs on the Patreon. We might have another one next month. We might have another one the month after. Yep. There's going to be situations that come up where I'm watching a movie for the first time.
Yeah.
Probably less likely that he's watching a movie for the first time, unless it's Nacho Libre. But
yeah,
I did, there's probably there's a lot of classics out there I haven't seen, and we may do them on the watch-alongs. So you want to be a part of that and hang out with us and kind of, especially if you like those movies and want to see my reaction to seeing them for the first time.
Yeah. So the only movie I saw for the first time this past week, funny little story about this one. I'll make this one brief, but it's a movie called Big Girls Don't Cry, They Get Even. This movie was originally marketed as called Step Kids. And the only reason I knew about this movie, it's a random movie. It's an early 90s like family comedy, but it didn't perform very well. And the only reason I know about this movie is because the trailer was attached to the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles VHS. So when Ninja Turtles first came out on video, I would have to get past that trailer if I wanted to watch the Ninja Turtles movie. And so it was that. And I remember there was the trailer for Suburban Commando with Hulk Hogan and Christopher Lloyd and Shelley Duvall, which that one I have seen. That one I was like, this looks like a fun movie. And so I watched it as a kid. And that movie, it is fun, but it's a garbage movie. It's a fun garbage movie. And then there was also like that Pizza Hut commercial with the little kid playing right field. It's important to know. You got to know how to catch. You got to know how to throw. Yeah, it's that whole song. I got that whole song still memorized because of how often I watched that Ninja Turtles. But I have never watched this Step Kids movie until now, and it was fun. It was a quirky little movie. Had I watched it when it came out in the 90s, I probably would have appreciated it as a kid more. As a 40-something-year-old adult, it's okay. So
that's how I feel like a lot of people think about the Goonies. I've heard a lot of people who haven't watched the Goonies until they were older and later in life.
They just don't connect it.
They didn't see it when they were a kid, and it doesn't mean as much to people. So I think I'm one of them. Like, Goonies is fine. I don't connect with it as much because I didn't really watch it as a kid.
So yeah,
same situation.
Goonies, Lost Boys, and Stand By Me. All three of those I feel like. Oh, and Monster Squad. Those are all roughly in the same kind of thing. It's like the teenage coming of age, dealing with a situation, an adventure type of movie. That movie, one of the movies I saw at Fantastic Fest, Riddle of Fire, is very much in that same vein as well. And that one I absolutely loved. Even though I'm not a kid, so I don't connect with it from the kid way, it was still a very well-made movie. And again, that's one of like the two movies that I will be harping about as if you can find a way to see it, go see it. Riddle of Fire and Last Stop in Yuma County. So I will forever be talking about those two movies until they come out, and then I'll push for them even harder. The only other thing, so I was suggesting this to my brother.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you want to do, if you're up for the challenge, or do we want to try it on just me for right now? I'm up for trying this and see how well it works. Do you want to try it for you as well?
Maybe not this week.
Okay. So something new we want to add to the tagline. It's going to be roughly around in this spot where we're talking about what new movies you've seen in this past week. I want to open up. Originally, the idea was I wanted to give recommendations for people in the chat who are watching live. Hey, I recommend this movie. Y'all go see this movie. But then there's no follow-up. There's no real interaction with that. So I have a different idea. The idea is it's going to be split between me and my brother. So what we're going to do for right now, we're only going to do me
this week. I got a lot going on this next week. So
yeah. So we're going to play this. What I want is everyone in the chat, live in the chat right now, first person to suggest a movie that I have not seen, I will watch that movie within the course of this next week, and I will talk about my thoughts and feelings during this segment on the tagline next week. So if you want to know how I felt about it, I will still rank it. I'll still give a grading on like Letterboxd, but if you want to know my actual thoughts and feelings, come back next week and I'll talk about it during the segment of what movie have you not seen or have you just watched for the first time this past week. A couple of rules on this. There is a veto. There's a couple of movies I have on like a very, very small list. My brother's list would be much bigger than this, but mine is very small. There's a couple of movies that if y'all suggest, it's an automatic veto. I will not watch that movie. It does not matter. And it will always be a veto. So For example, I'll go ahead and give the example just because I know someone would eventually joke about it. There's a movie called Slaughtered Vomit Dolls. I'm not watching that. I'm not watching the August Underground movies. Don't suggest those. Those are all automatic vetoes, and I will never watch those. And then the benefit to this is if you're following us on Letterboxd, you can see what movies we have seen and haven't seen. So,
also, anytime that I'm participating in this, suggestions of movies that I will veto are anything with graphic gore in it. So,
especially if it's a horror,
don't suggest to me Saving Private Ryan. I'm not watching it. I haven't seen it, and I'm not going to watch it. If that makes you upset, sorry.
Yeah. See, yeah, even if Lego is traumatized by watching August Underground, I'm not watching that. I'm not watching that crap. Okay. I would say, like, I think we were talking about, and I don't know if you're wanting to go with this angle, but we were thinking, like, if you were going to suggest horror movies for my brother, it passes my test first. If they're suggesting, like, Terrifier or Terrifier 2, I'm going to be like, yeah, no, he's not going to watch that. Don't.
I mean, keep in mind, like, the kinds of horror movies that Psycho or Get Out would fall under. That's going to be more my speed.
But if someone was to have suggested Halloween, the original Halloween, I would have been like,
not graphic.
Yeah, he could watch that.
I've seen Midsommar. I would not take that as an actual suggestion because there are moments in that movie where I did turn my head and did not watch certain scenes. I'm just not gonna take suggestions that require me to turn my head during certain scenes because it just makes it easier to just.
Unless you were there watching it with someone who can tell you when to turn your head. Yeah,
like I watched Midsommar with Torie, and she knew exactly when those scenes were coming up. So
yeah. Okay, so on to the. And Lego's got the first one out the gate. Is Slaughterhouse, is that a real movie? Is that like one of those cheesy movies where it's the animals?
I feel like I saw her post something about this on Twitter.
Oh, it is a real movie. Slaughterhouse, and it's available on Hulu. All right. So Lego wins with that one because I've not seen Slaughterhouse. William, I have seen Pieces. And Pieces is exactly what I'm looking for in horror movie recommendations. A good schlocky 80s slasher that's easy to follow. That makes some sense, even though it's just weirdly done.
That's because my brother was born in the 80s. He's schlocky and very easy to follow.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, follow me on like the internet because it's the Robert Adams at MLP, or you can follow me in real life because I'm in my bedroom and I never leave here.
No, I'm saying it's not difficult to understand what you're saying.
Oh, well, it is sometimes. We have plenty of bad communication arguments because it's sometimes not easy to understand what I'm saying.
That's the reason.
Yeah, there's parts of Pieces that are definitely schlocky. Right? Especially like almost every time like a woman is about to be attacked, they have to get into some kind of position like they're filming a porn. It's just really weird.
Someone's about to kill me.
No, there's one where like in Pieces there's a girl that's skinny dipping at a pool and then a killer is about to attack her. She gets out of the pool and she backs herself up against the wall like, hey, are you going to attack me? I'm like, what the hell are you doing? He's about to kill you. And you're sitting there like, she's not even trying to seduce him. It's just the choice of the movie makers to have her in that position. It was just weird. So, strange movie. Bastards!
Anyway.
Yeah. Anyways, let's get into actual movie news. Oh, so real quick, yes, I will do Slaughterhouse, and I will give my review next week. But let's get into movie news.
That's the wrong one.
Ladies and gentlemen,
good evening. This is what's happening in your world tonight.
We apologize for the interruption.
Back to you.
There we go.
So thrown off with the name Slaughterhouse, you clicked the wrong video.
Yeah.
Anyway, guys, let's play a magical game that we play every box office week. Can we guess what the number one movie in the box office is this week? Keep in mind,
Swift.
Killers of the Flower Moon just came out.
Taylor Swift.
You sucked the fun right out of that. It's Taylor Swift. The Eras Tour is the number one movie in the box office, again, for the second week in a row. Made about $33.2 million. Doing pretty solid numbers. I mean, domestic gross right now is sitting at about $132 million. So doing pretty solid numbers for good old T-Swizzle. The number two movie, however, is in fact Scorsese's Killers of the Flower Moon. Made about $23.2 million. That's one of those situations where Scorsese's name does sell a movie. I mean, worldwide, you're looking at about $49 million. Not exactly sure what the budget is off the top of my head, but it is a 3.5-hour movie. And you have to understand that 3.5-hour movies, based on, we talked about this during Oppenheimer, based on how often you can play a 3.5-hour movie during a business day of a movie theater, it does significantly reduce the amount of money that movie could potentially draw in its opening weekend, basically. So if you're looking at that movie expecting it to be a little bit higher in its opening weekend gross, I would say $23 million is probably not too terrible, considering that movie could probably only play about 3, maybe 4 times in a given day. So
there's also I don't know if you heard about this, but there's the issue that some theaters have had where people are leaving their showing of Killers of the Flower Moon because the Taylor Swift movie is in the theater right next door and it's making too much noise.
That's unfortunate.
You damn kids need to turn the volume down. I don't know why I went like Jack Nicholson all of a sudden, but yeah, like I've been reading that there's some people that have, like, they left Killers of the Flower Moon, complained to the theater, said, like, look, y'all are allowing the audience in the Taylor Swift movies to dance and shout and scream and sing and party and whatnot, and we're sitting here watching a serious Scorsese drama.
It's going to be very quiet in places, and
and we're hearing them having a good old time with the T-Swifty.
Yeah.
Like, so
I don't mind the Eras Tour movie existing or, being in the theater, but I think theaters need to understand sound control a little bit better.
Robert's going Jack. You never go full Jack.
Here's Johnny.
Yeah, so I wonder if that had any kind of effect on maybe some of the Killers of the Flower Moon money, or if it's one of those, like, it's just reporting the initial ticket sales, and it may be like maybe the managers of the movie theater, like, well, we'll give you a credit so you can come back and watch Killers of the Flower Moon, maybe like during the day where all the kids are at school and they're not there to make a big ruckus in their showing. Or we'll move it to another theater away from Taylor Swift.
I don't think that story alone is enough to take away too much of Killers of the Flower Moon's money. I think that's one of those cases where you see a couple mentions of that on social media, and it just becomes a bigger news story based on a couple people saying that they experienced that. To have an actual impact on its money, that needs to be like hundreds of thousands of people who went to go see Killers of the Flower Moon who that happened to, and they all walked out. Yeah. I don't think it did that kind of damage, but I will say that I think that those might, like we were talking about before with Taylor Swift's audience, I think that those might be two different demographics for those movies, because I don't know. I say that sort of. I do believe that there are people who are interested in the Taylor Swift Eras Tour movie and who are also simultaneously interested in Killers of the Flower Moon, or, like we were saying before, Exorcist. Those people do exist who do want to see both. But I think that there is a wider breadth of people who are different for the Taylor Swift movie than from the Killers of the Flower Moon movie. most of your 50-year-old white guys who will go see a Scorsese flick are probably not going to go see the Taylor Swift movie, more than likely, unless they're their daughter.
I'll be honest. I'm going to put this out there also. The Taylor Swift, the Eras Tour movie, that's also one I'm going to veto. I'm probably never going to watch that.
Well, also, let's consider that we're talking about movies with actual like narratives and not concepts.
Yeah. I mean, that's not. I wouldn't call that a movie. That's just a concert. That like I can watch like live concert performances on YouTube. So a wider breadth of people. Yeah,
I appreciate Jake.
That's that wonder breadth of people right there.
I appreciate you, Jake. But no, he actually does bring up can't do 3.5 hours in a theater with back issues. Looking forward to seeing them. Yeah. I also my back issues aren't nearly as big of a deal to sit for 3.5 hours in a theater. It's scheduling, and it's the fact that if we're planning to go see a 3.5 hour movie, that's pretty much the entire day is working around that. And right now I can't schedule around a 3.5 hour movie in the theater, even though obviously we did the Barbie Oppenheimer. We obviously planned that one, way in advance, knew we were going to do the double feature.
And we had like an hour and 15 minutes or so in between.
Yeah.
It's kind of like Fantastic Fest. I ended up like on some of those days, I ended up watching like 4 movies in one day, but there was like an hour break in between each one.
Yeah. So as far as that goes, I know that Killers of the Flower Moon's supposed to be on Apple Plus at some point. Initially, I thought it was going to release simultaneously on Apple Plus, but I think they decided to give it a solid theatrical run first and then bring it out there. That's probably where I will end up watching Killers of the Flower Moon. Will be on streaming there.
It's probably the same. I've pretty much got it in my head that like the second it's available to watch streaming, I'll watch it that way. I don't want to go sit in a theater for 3.5 hours. I know I've got to run a movie YouTube channel. Yeah. I know it would be great to have the review up right now, but
love the theatrical experience. Love going to a theater to see a movie, but sometimes certain movies it does feel better to be able to just sit at home in the comfort of my own home and be able to start and stop the movie as I please, especially when it hits a certain runtime. So anyway,
for like right now also, Five Nights at Freddy's, I will probably be watching that here at home on streaming, mainly because again, we're trying to save money and keep the lights on. So streamlabs.com/cinefanatics or patreon.com/cinefanatics. So I don't, since that one's at streaming, I can just watch that here. I don't need to go spend $12-15 on a movie ticket.
So anyway, number 3, you've got The Exorcist Believer. Number 4, some kids movie about dogs fighting crime, I guess. Number 5, you got The Nightmare Before Christmas. And number 6,
what's this? Nightmare Before Christmas?
What's this? Yeah, Nightmare Before Christmas is 30th anniversary re-release. Made a solid $4.2 million in its reopening weekend. That's pretty good. Number 6, we got Saw X. Number 7, we have The Creator. Number 8 is A Haunting in Venice, still hanging out in that top 10. Been out for 6 weeks now. It's pretty crazy. Number 9 is The Blind. Number 10 is The Nun 2.
And I know Saw X and Haunting in Venice are now available for streaming at home as well. So
another thing to bring
Saw
up.
X was quick.
Dumb Money did not make a dumb amount of money again this week. It made about $283,000. So that thing's not even cracking 15 million yet.
So basically, the GameStop stock that the movie is based off was worth more than the movie that's being based off of the story of it.
Way more.
The producers just invested in GameStop and just don't make a movie.
Hey, this is a crazy event that's happening. We should invest in this and then take the money we earn from it to make a movie about this moment.
Yeah, that's not a good idea.
It's not a good investment.
No.
It's the GameStop investment for people made exponentially a lot more money than the movie itself has made. Which is sad because I've heard it's a pretty decent movie. I got some friends who saw it and said it was actually really good. But
I want to see that too, but
the general populace is just not interested in a movie about stocks and GameStop, it seems, which makes sense.
Yeah, and I think for me, unfortunately, that movie came out during the time where I'm trying to plan and get ready for Fantastic Fest, and I had all focus on what I needed to get done before that and what I needed to do for that week, and then afterwards, COVID. Yay!
It makes sense. It just does not make sense.
Speaking of COVID, still got that cough. That sucks.
Anyway. What's in the movie news?
Movie news. So, the actors are still striking. They haven't come to a conclusion. Apparently, negotiations are being delayed until tomorrow. So, SAG has proper time to review, I guess, the latest offer from the studios. So, who knows? We'll see. But apparently, it will continue tomorrow.
It'd be very nice if we stop hearing stupid things from the studios like, this will be our final offer. No, it won't.
It'll be the final
offer. Will
offer.
be the one that SAG accepts. That will be your final offer.
It'll be the final offer when SAG is like, okay, we agree.
Yeah. Stop posturing. Get to the table, negotiate. If y'all can't agree yet, come back again when you can agree.
They should negotiate in Halloween costumes and film it. I want that Norman Rockwell Christmas or Thanksgiving painting, but it's them at the negotiation table in Halloween costumes.
That is the one side. Like, I've been obviously in favor of WGA and SAG this entire time. That is the one side of things that I think SAG is kind of being a little silly about. And that's their actors can't wear Halloween costumes related to struck movies.
Yeah.
So like the actors out there can't wear, Barbie movie related costumes. And it's like, well, okay, come on. No one's wearing a Halloween costume promoting the movie. They're just having fun. And, maybe they're going out through the neighborhood with their kids. I don't know if actors do that or not, how safe that is for them to do. But maybe they're going through the neighborhood with their kids and doing the whole Halloween thing. And it's like, maybe they're just going to like a Halloween party with friends or what have you. And it's like, you can't tell them to not wear costumes related to popular movies that came out this year. That's not feasible. It's kind of silly. Like, I'm with you guys. I'm with you guys on the strike and everything, but maybe let's be a little reasonable here.
And let's also look at this from a fun, logical point of view. How many of y'all, depending on where you live, if this is something that is possible, how many of y'all would be out trick-or-treating and all of a sudden you're like, oh, look, there's Gal Gadot dressed up as Barbie. Man, I'm in the mood to watch that Barbie movie now.
Yeah. Probably more interested in watching Wonder Woman.
Yeah, that's not happening. Now, yeah, that would be funny if Gal Gadot is trick-or-treating as Wonder Woman. Yeah. Then I might actually be in the mood to watch Wonder Woman. But I mean, the idea is that the actors are cosplaying basically as like another movie character from. How is that going to make you want to sit there and watch the movie?
It's not even that. It's how is the studios really going to take that as like promotion for their film if the actors are out doing their Halloween thing? It's like, I don't. It's just. I get it. There's going to be like social media images. They're going to put it up on their Instagram or something like that. But it's like, maybe just relax a little bit on that one.
Now you've got like, well, let's scroll. Oh, hey, Chris, check this out. Jacob Elordi is dressed up as Oppenheimer. I want to go watch that 3-hour Oppenheimer movie again now.
What a Halloween costume choice.
Yeah, like no, that's not happening. That's not actually like. If that's happening to like maybe 2 people.
First of all, Oppenheimer is a Halloween costume choice. Let's hang out there for a minute.
It is one though. It
really?
is a popular Halloween costume this year. Yeah.
Really? Oh, the guy who invented the bomb that blew 2 Japanese cities to death.
Watch how many Instagram pictures we're gonna see of families trick-or-treating, and the mom will be dressed up as Barbie, the husband's going to be dressed up as Oppenheimer, and the kid, I don't know.
One will be dressed up as a baby, and the other one will be dressed up as an atomic bomb.
Or something like that, yeah.
That would be insane.
I mean, you would think the couple would be like Barbie and Ken, but no, they're doing the Barbenheimer.
Yeah, I get that. That's a fun concept, but I'm still like thinking about like how twisted as a society we're at now, where we're dressing up for Halloween as atomic bombs and the creator of them.
And then
that's crazy.
And then there's a knock at your door. You grab like the bowl of candy to hand out candy. You open the door. The little kid's like, trick or treat. The mom's like, trick or treat. And the father's like, I now have become death, the destroyer of worlds. Give me your candy.
Dad's like, you're going to want to pick treat.
Oh, is that what? No, that's what it is like you're allowed to dress up as Elvis, but you can't dress up as Austin Butler's Elvis. Like, that's so stupid.
What if you're just wearing clothes that Elvis wore? It's the same thing either. Okay. Also, can we take a moment and say a Lordi?
Whatever.
Jacob Elordi.
A Lordi.
It's that hard eye. Anyway, yeah, that's the SAG stuff. You know, hopefully, I feel like we've said this many times. Hopefully, they come to a reasonable conclusion here pretty soon.
Well, in the meantime, since they haven't yet, once again, movies are being delayed. They're all written now. The movies are being written, and that's great. Yay! But now we have to wait for the actors that are allowed to come back to film the movies. So that being said, one of the big ones that was holding on for dear life for a while was Deadpool 3, and it was officially announced that they have moved off of their March 2024 date. There is no new date, so it's just erased off the schedule for right now.
I would imagine that that's pretty much all of Marvel's current slate of upcoming movies.
Potentially, what's the next big movie after the Marvels? Where we were counting down to
Deadpool.
What was the Marvels, Deadpool, and Captain America.
Captain America, whatever the title is now.
Yeah. It's Captain America, Agatha,
House of New World, Thunderbolts.
Yeah, whatever. But yeah, that was, I think, like the next big one that was supposed to be coming out is the Captain America. I think it's like New World Order or whatever.
Yeah. I imagine that they're just probably delaying the entire movie slate, not just Deadpool 3 at this point, because they don't know when filming can get back to happening for any of these movies.
Or Brave New World. Yeah, one of those two. The other one that was announced is Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 2 has moved all the way to 2025.
Boo.
Let me put this in perspective. That movie came out the week before Barbenheimer. So we were all psyched for Barbenheimer. We had like Torie came here to join us for that double feature. So we were making plans with Torie on like what else we're doing while she's back in Austin. And then also Dead Reckoning Part 1 was a very long, drawn-out movie. They spent this whole movie just about this key with no real, like, world-ending type of something going on. It was all about get this key so we can get to the next movie. And it was
I don't
just
like your tone, mister. I don't like your tone right now.
Don't get me wrong. I liked it. I enjoy it. But it was just very long and drawn out. Mainly because they were bookending it with the second movie. I already don't I'm not eager for the second one at all. By the time it comes out, I'm going to completely forget the first one, unless, of course, if I rewatch it right before, which I will probably have to because it's not coming out for 2 years.
I liked it, and I am looking forward to the second one. Yes, it is gonna kind of fall out of memory, and that will give everybody a good reason to rewatch Dead Reckoning Part 1 again before it comes out. But yeah, it is sad that it's getting delayed. I was actually kind of looking forward to that second part happening next year. Kind of a bummer.
but like in proper perspective, I'm eager for the next Spider-Verse movie.
Yes.
This last one, it ended on a great cliffhanger, and I want to know more. I want to see how this gets resolved. I am like eager for that. I really don't care what's going to happen with Mission Impossible. I kind of also don't care about the Fast and Furious cliffhanger either. That one I care less about, because any person could look at that. Any person could look at that and tell exactly what happened. I mean, that plane went around the corner and then poof.
Yeah.
You know what they're going to do, how they're going to,
resolve some of the, did they? Are they?
Yeah.
So I am looking forward to all these like cliffhanger movies. I want to see what they do. I am sad that most of them are kind of not. Most of them don't have like a movie, or they don't have a release date slated right now. I know Across the Spider-Verse or Beyond the Spider-Verse was initially, I think, supposed to happen this next year. They were wanting to do back-to-back years, which would have loved to see. But now, who knows when we're getting Beyond the Spider-Verse, and hopefully it's not too long.
William Harold, how is that a cliffhanger? You just dropped the car out of a plane and was fine. I'm not worried. Yeah. What was that plane?
Yeah. Anyway.
And then other revelations and stuff. But yeah, it's just really weird that was such a big tentpole movie, and I don't feel like Paramount was treating it properly. Like trying to quickly, I know they rescheduled it to right before Barbenheimer, which was a mistake.
They didn't give it its due.
They bungled the IMAX release because Oppenheimer was able to quickly swoop in there and grab all the IMAX theaters for like the next like month or two. And then after they were done, Barbie was like, hey, I think we'll try some of that IMAX action also. So then they released Barbie in IMAX. And so Mission Impossible had like 1 week in IMAX. That's a movie you want like in IMAX for a while.
I think what they need to do with the next one is they need to be paying close attention to what date they're putting the movie at. And they need to make sure the date works for them to be able to get at least 2 solid weeks of good box office off of it. Because I think the Mission Impossible series deserves at least 2 solid weeks of big blockbuster box office action. Especially at this point with how much, work Tom Cruise puts into those movies and everything too.
And the cinematography for that movie deserved to stay in IMAX more than Oppenheimer. There wasn't really anything except for the bomb, obviously. There wasn't anything else in Oppenheimer that needed to be shown in IMAX. A lot of it was just people sitting around talking science. I don't need IMAX for that.
That might be more of a take that people will disagree with just because of the Christopher Nolan following.
Sure, and I know Nolan loves IMAX, and I'm not going to fault him for that. Most of his movies are very deserving of IMAX.
I think people love the IMAX combined with the the 70 millimeter look.
Oh yeah, that would be nice.
So I think that's why you get a lot of people going out for Oppenheimer in IMAX, even if there's not a lot of sweeping shots. Yeah. So,
but yeah. Anyways, those are the delays as of right now. In other fun news, Jason Blum of Blumhouse Productions gave us an update on Spawn. Apparently, this movie's still happening. Who knows?
Why?
They've been trying to make a Spawn movie ever since the original Spawn movie came out in '97.
Wasn't Todd McFarlane working on a Spawn movie? Is this that movie?
So for a while there, Todd McFarlane, who is the creator of the character Spawn, also the creator of Venom for Marvel, he has been working on another Spawn movie, and for a while there, he was going to do a movie from the viewpoint of the 2 cops, Sam and Twitch. So it was going to be from their point of view instead of putting Spawn front and center. So kind of the backwards thing of what Saw X just did. Like, let's go back to watching these Saw movies from the cops' point of view instead of putting Jigsaw front and center. They put Jigsaw front and center in Saw X, and it did gangbusters. Now it does kind of sound like, now that Blumhouse is behind this as well, it does sound like it's going to be more Spawn-centric and not focusing on the two cops. Last I heard, it still has Jamie Foxx attached to play Al Simmons' Spawn.
Which is not a bad choice.
Not, but I'm curious as to how it's going to work with the makeup, because Jamie Foxx is one of those higher up actors. He's going to want his face shown, and he's not going to want to be caked under all the makeup that, like, say, Michael Jai White had to wear as Spawn in the 97 movie. So
it depends on how committed. If you get the right actor, and we don't know right now if Jamie Foxx, is that kind of an actor, but if you get the right actor for a role, namely like a Hugo Weaving for V for Vendetta, where the actor is a name enough that, their face should be seen, what have you. But they're committed enough to the role because they like the role, they like the script, they like the movie, they like the property, whatever it might be. You will get those big name actors who commit to, I'm totally on board with whatever we have to do. Again, like Hugo Weaving for V for Vendetta, which that time for that is coming up here pretty soon. Just being able to have your face covered the entire time really worked for that character, was necessary for that character. And I think Spawn is another one of those where, given the look of the character underneath the Spawn mask, face is going to get covered up, whether it's makeup or whatnot. I think what's going to happen is, for that movie, is there's going to be a significant part of the movie where it's going to be Al Simmons before the transformation happens.
Yeah. And then what I'm worried about is they may go the Deadpool route. So, like in Deadpool, when he takes his mask off, you can still tell that that's Ryan Reynolds. He's under a bunch of makeup.
Very likely.
But you can still easily see Ryan Reynolds. When in the comics, Deadpool's face is a little bit more scarred than that. Like if you were able to recognize Wade Wilson before any of the scarring, you wouldn't recognize him after the scarring is the idea. It should be when he takes off the mask, you don't recognize Ryan Reynolds, but because it's Ryan Reynolds, you need to be able to recognize him. And I think that's what Jamie Foxx is going to do as well.
Probably.
And then also I think Jeremy Renner is attached to it to play one of the two cops, Twitch. Which I don't know if that's good casting, but we'll see.
Listen, I can already tell you that I'm probably not going to be interested in this movie.
No. So the report is that it's the Blumhouse version of a superhero.
That's why.
Yeah, it's gonna hit that R rating. It's gonna be a hard R. There's going to be violence. There's going to be gore. We're going to get proper, like, Violator ripping people apart and stuff. We kind of got that in the 97 Spawn, but it was very muted and dark, and like you really couldn't see. Like, he would pick up someone and shake them and then rip them apart and throw them away. You didn't see any details and stuff. This movie will give us those details.
You couldn't tell in the 97 version because a very bad CGI cape was covering the screen the entire time.
God, that cape was terrible looking.
Anyway, good luck to Blumhouse with Spawn. Maybe someday this movie will get made.
We'll see. And then I would like to bring back a segment that we haven't done for a while. Mm-hmm. This is an update to the Feige family update.
Hey! Forget about it. It's the Feige family.
What's going on? It's the Feige family.
The
Don't
MCU
worry
is
about it.
walking here.
Okay. It's okay, Cupcake. You'll be fine.
Hey.
Anyways.
All of our American, Italian, New York fan base just went, nope.
You could blame Scorsese and cinema for that. There was a report about that I saw. Apparently, there's like a group of people that are upset about the portrayal in Scorsese movies of like the Italian American like crime families and stuff. And then there was actually a report from like Italian American people. They're like, yeah, we're okay with it. Don't worry.
Yeah, no, he's good. He's got it.
We're okay with it. Don't forget about it. It's all right.
Forget about it. Hey, Mama good news.
It's like, all right.
Hey, that's not Italian.
But yeah, Kevin Feige has announced over this past week that any Marvel movie that was made with a character from Marvel Comics is now a part of the MCU in their multiverse angle.
All right, give me one character why that excites you.
Man-Thing from the sci-fi movie of Man-Thing.
All right, I'll give you one character that excites me. David Hasselhoff's Nick Fury.
That was the second one. The third one, and this is the one I really hope for, and it's also the one that I expect will never happen, is any character from the 95, 96 Generation X TV movie.
Oh, that would be insane. That would be crazy.
Give me back my Finola Hughes as the White Queen, and was it Jeremy Ratchford as Banshee? Problem with that is Jeremy Ratchford doesn't look like Banshee anymore.
Yeah, that would be insane if that happened. That and maybe the Corman Fantastic Four showing up. Listen,
I don't know if that would count since it wasn't officially released.
Okay, so hear me out real quick. DC, over on DC side, they did get a little clip of Nick Cage as Superman in the Flash movie, and that made no damn sense to people who didn't know what that was regarding.
Yeah,
that was a very niche reference that they did in Flash. It could be a very niche reference that I could actually see happening because Kevin Feige knows all and sees all in regards to Marvel properties. So I could see them doing a reference to the Corman Fantastic Four.
I understand. So again, as I was saying earlier in the program, I had Infinity War and Endgame playing on the background while I was doing other things, and I noticed something about those movies. Is one, like, especially like in Endgame, where the final battle takes place at the Avengers compound. Thanos blows it up, and the whole field or whatever behind them is where the giant battle takes place. We haven't gotten the Avengers compound or whatever is like after it's, I guess, being rebuilt. Maybe, I don't know. We haven't gotten anything like that since.
Yeah.
So the Avengers, is what started off with like Avengers Tower and then moved to the compound, like in Homecoming and Ant-Man and whatnot. That was the home base. That was the home base, not only for the characters that we're primarily following, but it was also the home base for us as the audience, as when we're at this compound, everything is as it should be until Thanos blows it all to hell. And I called that the home base, even though like we had like the Guardians of the Galaxy in Endgame, we saw the Guardians of the Galaxy home basing it at the Avengers compound. So that was everyone's home base.
Yeah.
We don't have that anymore. So we don't have the group of people that we're following. We're now following random other people. Like, has there been an actual movie about any of the core people that we cared about before Endgame since Endgame? I mean, other like Ant-Man and Black Widow, and that was about it. Everything else has been like brand new.
Thor, Love and Thunder.
Yeah, okay. Well, okay. So there's a reason why that one slipped my mind.
Yeah. Technically, I mean, do you consider Guardians of the Galaxy some of the core people because they had their third movie?
Yeah. And for the most part, like, obviously, like Black Panther Wakanda Forever, that was going to be a completely different movie because we didn't have Chadwick Boseman anymore.
Yeah.
So that movie was already going to be different than what we were expecting, like from the first movie.
Yeah, we haven't had a Hulk movie in forever, so we're still waiting to see if we get a Hulk movie again at some point. We got Mark Ruffalo in She-Hulk, obviously, but then of course you don't have Captain America or Iron Man. Both those characters retired, died, what have you. So yeah, we've been missing a lot of the core ones for a while. I do think you're talking about the Avengers compound. I do think we might see something related to it or regarding it when the next Captain America movie does come out. I think they're going to have reestablished or rebuilt some kind of compound that Sam Wilson will be kind of presiding in.
So I think it's little things like that, and that's what's leading up to. I wouldn't call it superhero movie fatigue because I don't feel like we have that.
No.
I think it's just there's been so many dramatic and drastic changes to the MCU since Endgame, and none of them have felt as cohesive because we're not following that core group of people that we've been following since 2008. Now we're on like this whole other group of people. We're now following more into like Doctor Strange and Wong, and then you got Shang-Chi. We've got the what's their faces?
Yep.
The Eternals, if they do anything else again. We still haven't heard about what's going on with Tiamat in the Indian Ocean or whatever. So
no, we got a very brief news clipping on a laptop screen in She-Hulk.
Yeah. And then you have the TV shows that are introducing all these other new characters that no one knows or understands how they were going to connect. Moon Knight, Miss Marvel, She-Hulk.
Mm-hmm.
We got this brief one about Hawkeye, but it was less about Hawkeye and more about training Kate Bishop. And
I will say, I don't think Marvel has a problem in terms of storytelling. I think every movie they've made they've done a good job with storytelling.
Mm-hmm.
Even Thor: Love and Thunder, I do think that movie still has a lot of flaws, in which case I think they probably could have spent more time, obviously, on Jayne and Gore in that movie. But for the most part, the storytelling is still pretty solid in these movies. The problem that Marvel has had is COVID and now strikes. These two things have basically decimated their ability to keep up the plan. It has kind of shown the flaw of a consistent cinematic universe over time and what could happen to that. When you're dealing with humans, when you're dealing with the world at large and events that happen on our planet that could disrupt things, that's what throws the MCU out of balance. And I think had, say, like COVID not happened, had these strikes not needed to happen, the MCU as it plays out, I think would have still felt a lot more cohesive. They wouldn't have had to quickly change things up or switch things around or move things around in regards to what project is coming out next. I think we would have already seen the next Captain America movie. We would have already, seen Thunderbolts. We would have already had a lot more cohesion because of what they might have planned in the story for some of these future movies would have already happened, and we would have already felt that reconnectedness happening again. All the movies that we had gotten before would have felt more connected because they would have happened in a closer time frame to each other. So I think that's the biggest thing that Marvel has been facing, and I think a lot of people would have still felt the magic with the MCU had these major life events that have been happening on this planet not gone on.
Yeah. Anyways, so yeah, back to the main point is all these other movies are now canon within the MCU in that they could, especially when they're talking about multiverse, they could visit some of them. It's gonna be kind of weird because, like, I understand getting the other two Spider-Men in Far From Home or No Way Home. Like that worked because Spider-Man was still partially owned by Sony.
Mm-hmm.
And so, of course, that movie was a collaboration with Sony and Marvel Studios. So they were able to use that. That makes sense. All the Sony characters were able to come over and join. That's fine. But like, let me see, what's another character? Well, if you did the Nick Fury, the David Hasselhoff Nick Fury, I can't remember who owns the rights to that movie. It's probably some small budget studio, and Marvel and Disney could probably just purchase those rights to that movie as well, because I don't think anyone else is really clamoring for going to fight. You know what I'm interested to watch is that David Hasselhoff Nick Fury.
Yeah.
I just saw someone cosplaying, doing trick-or-treating, and now I'm in the mood to watch that Nick Fury Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. TV movie from the 90s.
Saw a darn scab out there scabbing around as a David Hasselhoff Nick Fury.
Yeah, I want that David Hasselhoff and Lisa Rinna movie. That was Lisa Rinna was Val in that movie. That was weird.
Crazy. This is an interesting topic, though. Feige saying that all the Marvel movies are now canon. Obviously, this is one of those no duh kind of moments because I feel like we basically knew this.
I just wondered the logistics of it. Ghost Rider was Sony, I believe, but I don't think Ghost Rider is a part of the agreement that Sony made with Marvel. Although I guess Marvel does owns Ghost Rider now, since they were able to put Ghost Rider in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
The only property that Marvel doesn't have full rights retained on at this point is Spider-Man. Yeah, they've got Hulk and I think Namor back completely too,
including distribution, because that was the holdup with Hulk is distribution. Okay,
that's what I'm saying. Is I believe they have both of those back now. I've seen stories on that, and it's just a matter of what do we want to do with Hulk next at some point.
So I'll go back to Ghost Rider. So Marvel and Disney have the rights to Ghost Rider right now, but they don't have the rights to the 2 Nicolas Cage Ghost Rider movies. Right. So can they use Nicolas Cage's Ghost Rider since that technically is Sony? Or do they have to do an agreement with Sony to borrow, and then they have to talk Nicolas Cage into coming back to playing that role anyways?
Well, do we have an example of something they've already had coming back?
No, the only thing I can think of is the 2 Spider-Men from No Way Home, but that was already a collaboration with Sony involving the characters of Spider-Man, so Sony was okay with that.
And then, of course, the next closest thing would be like Deadpool crossing over into the MCU from having not been in the MCU, but that's because of Disney purchased 20th Century Fox.
Yeah, so like the Daredevil movie, the 2003 Daredevil movie and the 2005 Elektra were both done by Fox. So when Disney acquired Fox, they do also acquire the rights to those movies. But Disney hasn't acquired Sony, just Ghost Rider. Sony still owns the 2 Ghost Rider movies.
And that is, I think, the only case that you can bring up. So I think Ghost Rider really is the only real outlier here.
I mean, there might be some other issues depending on how far back you want to go. Like, you want to bring in the Dolph Lundgren Punisher, the 2 different versions of the Captain America movies, the one with Red Brown, and then there was the one with Salinger, Matt Salinger. So those 2 movies, they may be owned by a different studio property. I think the Matt Salinger ones actually was done by Canon. I can't remember who owns the Canon Corp or Canon Group now, but.
And then who owns like Howard the Duck? You put him on the thumbnail.
Howard the Duck was George Lucas.
Well, yeah,
so that was under Amblin. That was probably under 20th Century Fox. So Disney actually probably owns Howard the Duck. I mean, obviously they own the character of Howard the Duck because Howard's
we're talking about like the old movie though.
But yeah, the old movie, I don't maybe Disney owns it now. I can't remember.
Yeah, so I mean, for the most part, what I think is that when they retain the rights to characters, I think that they probably retain the rights of. I don't know, because I don't.
Blade.
So, yeah, I don't think we have a situation where, let's say people go out and purchase the old Nick Cage Ghost Rider movies now. Since Ghost Rider is now retained by Disney and Marvel, it is a conundrum on how the contract works because people go purchase those movies. Disney Marvel's not making the money off of that Ghost Rider. It is whatever studio put out those movies. But are you able to still have Nicolas Cage show up as Ghost Rider? Because the Ghost Rider character is now retained by Marvel and Disney,
which may be why they did the Robbie Reyes Ghost Rider in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. instead of trying to bring back Johnny Blaze.
That is very curious. It also, I think there's also a reason why we haven't seen a Johnny Blaze Ghost Rider show up yet too, and that might be the reason why, because we might see the Nicolas Cage Johnny Blaze Ghost Rider show up in a multiversal fashion. There's all the reports right now as to, or all the rumors swirling around the soft reboot that the MCU is going to eventually do at some point, probably post Secret Wars.
Or yeah,
and how they're probably not really wanting to full on bring the X-Men in a complete fashion until after that, which means that the versions of the X-Men that we see going into the MCU right now are going to be versions of the X-Men that we have been used to from the Fox properties.
Yeah. And they have the ability to use them since they now own Fox.
Which is why, for the time being, Hugh Jackman's Wolverine is probably the only Wolverine we are going to see prior to Secret Wars, which is interesting. I don't know how I feel about that completely, because I am kind of excited for a completely rebooted team of X-Men.
Mm-hmm. But it's just the wait. It's going to be such a long time before we get it.
Yeah, at this point.
So real quick, I did think of Blade. Blade is another good example, because the Blade movies were made by New Line Cinema, which last I checked, New Line is still under Warner Brothers. So there's no way Warner Brothers is going to release that back to Marvel as far as like the access to that character of those films. Obviously, Marvel does have Blade. They've been trying to make a movie about Blade again, but they don't have access to the Wesley Snipes Blades.
I think there's got to be something, and again, this is for someone who knows like the legal side of things to figure out. I think there's got to be some kind of like little bit that they can rest on, where it's like a character rental. We're going to essentially rent the character as it appeared in your movie to use in our movie. There's some kind of legal thing where it's not, you're not fully purchasing like an entire movie rights. Like Marvel Disney's not purchasing the entire movie rights to the Wesley Snipes Blade films, but they are, purchasing essentially an appearance fee for that character for one or two movies. However, if they want to use him, however many movies they use him for, that kind of a situation. I think that might be, that might be something they wrap up into the actual budget, obviously, for the movie. For a specific amount of time, this character might cost this amount of money. Barring, of course, you can rehire the actor who played that character. Like if they are able to bring Wesley Snipes in as Blade for 2 minutes of screen time in Secret Wars, it costs this amount of money to whoever owns those movie rights.
Yeah. I think MGM is owned by Amazon now. I think.
Are they?
I believe so. Something like that. I remember like there was some kind of I believe Amazon purchased MGM because there was this talk of once they purchase MGM, Amazon Prime is going to be the go-to place for all the James Bond movies.
Yeah.
Because I think MGM owns like Ion and
interesting.
Yeah.
Anyway, this is an interesting topic because it is kind of a no-duh, but it does bring on a lot of interesting conversation as to where old movie characters who weren't part of the Disney chain, where they lie in all of this. And I think obviously we'll get more clarity as time goes on, as we get closer to Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars, and kind of figure out where the whole multiversal storyline in the MCU is going to end up at.
Yeah.
Because there's a good chance that Nick Cage Ghost Rider and Wesley Snipes Blade just don't even show up at all anyway.
Probably. That's very possible.
A lot of people are putting out those images. You've seen those images online where people will Photoshop in all of these random characters and actors from past Marvel movies. And they're like, this is what the Secret Wars is going to look like. And I'm like, probably not. It's probably not going to look like that.
Given I'm going to go based off of how Civil War was. Civil War in the
Yeah.
comics, it is
Exactly.
literally the entire Marvel universe was at odds against each other. There was like the Team Cap, Team Iron Man, and they were all fighting. It was everyone, every character you could think of was on some side in regards to that. While the movie, it's like what, 10 people? There were like
little,
5 on either side.
Cute little punchy kicky moment at an airport.
Yeah, and that was it. Yeah. Going by what we've seen already for them taking very popular stories that involved like the entire universe and squishing it down to a little movie, I don't expect like massive things for Secret Wars. I expect massive things within the context of what we've gotten in the movies. Within the bubble of the MCU, yes, it's going to be super massive there. But compared to the comics, it's going to pale.
The MCU is very science fiction, but there is still a tinge of realism in how these things can operate in comparison to the comics. And you're just always going to be able to go a lot bigger and a lot more wild in the comics than you ever can in a movie. Yeah. So everybody posting those Photoshops, temper your expectations. What you think is going to happen is probably not going to happen.
No, you'll get most of the mainstays kind of like in game. You'll get whoever is the mainstay of the MCU at that time. And then you may get like 2 or 3 outside of the multiverse. So you may get like Johan Griffith coming back as Mr. Fantastic or something like that.
You'll get Fox properties. You'll get Fox properties coming back. You might see Patrick Stewart as Professor X again if Lord willing, Patrick Stewart is still with us at the time this movie is made.
You'll get Halle Berry back if the whole movie is about Storm.
If she's finally able to go save those children in Africa like they were promised, like she was promised before.
Yeah. She's like, man, while I'm here in Africa, it sure would be nice to look for a husband.
No husband here? No, that okay. Ending the show on that note. You gotta wait for a few years for little young baby T'Challa to grow up now.
Anyways, that just went in a couple of different directions there. But yeah, this will be interesting to see what they do. But I don't think it's going to be as good as what we would imagine or hope based off of the comics. So
Lego doesn't want to appear on the marquee this Friday now.
No co-host for the marquee. No marquee co-host. Okay. Anyways, that is going to do it for tonight. So speaking of which, quick recap because we're running behind on this. So quick recap. I will be doing a Five Nights at Freddy's review possibly later tomorrow, or it will be out on Friday. I will also be doing a ranking of the animatronic killer movies. I don't know exactly how I'm going to word that yet because I don't know if animatronic killer movies is really going to grab the YouTube algorithm as much as I hope it would.
There will be a ranking.
There will be some kind of a ranking where I'm ranking Five Nights at Freddy's, the Banana Splits movie, if I can say it, and then Willy's Wonderland. So we'll see how those turn out. That will be sometime this weekend as well. And then, of course, Friday night is going to be the marquee, where we are tier ranking famous scary movie horror villains with special guest Lego will be joining me on there. So that's going to be a lot of fun. There's about 22, 23 villains that we're going to be going through. So come join us. That is going to be live on Friday, the 27th, 7 Pacific, 10 Eastern. Keep an eye out for that. Should be a lot of fun. And I think that's all we have going on coming up, other than here in about 30 minutes. If you are at the $5 tier on patreon.com/cinefanatics, come over to our Discord, hang out with us in the voice chat. We are doing horror movie trivia. So we'll see if you can beat my brother. You're not going to beat me, but we could at least see if you can beat my brother.
If I don't have the last place score in this entire trivia that's going to happen tonight, you all are ridiculous.
Nerd is saying animatronic killer movies. Toys should be included in that. Yeah, I get that. Yeah, I don't know if like I necessarily want to include like stretch out as far as like say Child's Play. Child's Play is technically an animatronic killer horror movie. I don't know if I want it to be in that same vein.
Yeah.
Lego would be fun because Lego, you've got a huge breadth of knowledge also in regards to horror movies. So yeah, it would be fun to play trivia against you on there and see how you do.
You have a white breadth of knowledge.
You have a white wonder bread of knowledge. Anyway, so that is what's coming up. Hop on that $5 tier. Come join us here in a little bit. If you like horror movie trivia, should be a lot of fun. Anyways, yeah, that's all we've got for coming up right now. So I guess all the other usual things. Make sure you follow us at The Cinefanatics. We are on Twitter and Instagram and TikTok at The Cinefanatics. So all those short videos, immediate like out of theater reactions, those will be on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. So make sure you follow us there. If you are on TikTok, give us a follow over there, just because the TikTok account is still new and I think it only has like maybe 3 followers right now. So go follow us over there so we can have more followers, please. That would be great. Thank you. Otherwise, yeah, you can follow me personally at Robert Adams MLP on Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd. Again, keep in mind that Letterboxd one is going to be important because we're going to do this thing now every week where you suggest movies. Go check out what we have seen and haven't seen on Letterboxd and get those suggestions ready each week. We may choose your suggestion. And then also, I'm at youtube.com/@RobertAdamsMLP.
And you can follow me at Chris Adams MLP on Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd, as well as twitch.tv/Chris Adams MLP. There might be a switch up happening pretty soon where we're going to test out YouTube as a streaming source instead of Twitch. Stay tuned to the Twitch channel and all the goings on and find out when and where. Well, not where, it'll be YouTube, but when that will be.
Anyways, that is going to do it for tonight. Thank you, everyone who was watching live with us. We very much appreciate you being here. If you are watching this on a replay, we appreciate that as well. While you are watching on a replay or here live, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe. And if you are watching on a replay, drop a comment down below. What did you think? What do you want to add to the conversation? Some of these may come back up. We will be talking about the MCU again. It's inevitable, as Thanos says. So, yeah, leave a comment. We may be highlighting whatever it is that you may be saying in a future discussion about the MCU or anything else that we've talked about. So, anyways, that is going to do it for tonight. Thank you all again for watching, and we will see y'all. We'll see you patrons in about 30 minutes. We'll see the rest of y'all over the course of the next couple of days, hopefully, or on the marquee on Friday. Anyways, good night.
Bye.